I see success as a natural state of a human being. Problem is, your business will never outgrow you, your level of personal development. So when I invest in growth in myself, my business grows. It can happen that it doesn't show for a month or a year, but it's gonna grow. Everything comes at a price. Being a millionaire, being extraordinarily successful is gonna cost you a lot. Not money, not just money, but energy, time, relationships, people, sacrifices.
Welcome to the Journey podcast, and we have another special edition, and not just a guest. In front of me here is sitting Alessandro. I call him Ale. It's a client of mine. We've been working together the last months, and he has been going through an amazing journey. One that if he speaks on one of the masterminds we did, then you're listening, and that's why we do a podcast, because it's great to listen to him, but also he's very deep into personal branding, marketing, and such a wise soul for as a young age, I can say so. First of all, we're here in the beautiful Marbella at his hometown. You actually live here.
Yeah, so I spent a few months here.
Yes. A few months.
Yeah. Well, I'm always on the move.
Yeah, okay. But you live here.
Yeah, I definitely spent the majority of the months in summer here.
Yeah, he's not stuck at one place.
Yeah.
But thank you for being here and doing this podcast.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Finally, we get to speak in person.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. We spoke a lot online, of course, and we got to know each other, but now we're in real life, and I think it's a great opportunity to get to know you better for the people that are listening, also to discover some things that I might know, but many people don't know. And next to that, of course, your entrepreneurial journey. So tell me in short when your journey started, like at what age and why?
That's a very good question. 15 is what comes to mind, because at 15, I feel like I got a really good understanding of what's possible on this planet. And it was after a trip to the USA with my family, which I'm super grateful for. Like, looking back, it's such a blessing that I was able to just hop in a plane and leave the country. And I was in Los Angeles, and I saw, $50 million houses. I was like, how? I see my dad working like 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, every month, every year. And we're not living in a $50 million house. So that's where my mind kind of expanded. That's where I was like, man, there's more out there to see. And then this seed was planted at 15. And I feel like the next 3 years, it started growing. But it didn't grow inside of me and turn out into a desire. Like, I didn't just want to have a nice life. It turned into hate for my current life. And I know hate is a strong word, but I really mean it when I say that I just didn't like the way me and my family lived our life. I hated it because I saw, yes, on one side we have blessings and we're not on the street, not dirt poor, obviously, but I saw what it did to my family on a deeper level. Health, peace, are you aligned with where you want to go, etc. So over the years, this pain got bigger. I spoke to my friends and they were like, bro, you're tripping. We're from Switzerland. Like, relax. Everybody's going to be rich here. And I was like, bro, you're not seeing my point. And it's fine. And some see it today, which I'm very glad about. Some still don't see it. I feel like I saw it pretty early. And then I knew already that after school in Switzerland, which ends at like 15, I have to become an entrepreneur. Like, my two paths were studying or getting an apprenticeship. Of course, because my parents didn't want me to become an entrepreneur, obviously, like which parent really wants this to happen a few years ago? I don't know if it's different now. Most people are, or most parents are putting their children in a place where they feel really safe or where they stay safe, but safety is not going to make you grow. Right? So I had to do an apprenticeship. I was a software engineer for 4.5 years. After 4 years, my apprenticeship ended. And man, I'm telling you, I basically just was trying to speed through 4 years of having an apprenticeship, because I knew that once I'm out, my parents are finally going to tell me, hey, you've done this. Now you can do your own thing. I'll have some money saved up and I can finally just start a business. That's how everything started.
At 15.
15, and then seriously getting into it like maybe 18.
18.
Yes.
So you have a very strong opinion about where you came from. Can you tell us more about the environment you grew up in, so we can understand this thought better?
Sure. Imagine you're in a countryside. You have like 15,000 people living in your village or town or whatever. It's not a city, if you ask me. You have a lot of cows, and it's like you take a picture and you just put it in Photoshop and you remove all colors. So you just have black and white, gray everywhere, from the sky to nature to people's faces to people's energy. Just really heavy, everything really heavy. It feels like a horror movie now that I see the beautiful side of life, like in Marbella and all of these places. And this place where I'm from is really interesting because when I speak to people, foreigners, and say I'm Swiss, everybody thinks you're rich. Every Swiss person is rich in people's minds, right? And yes, I grew up with people that had money, but that's the only thing they had. Meaning I knew a bunch of dads that, yes, they had a Porsche, but they had no relationship with their kids. They were divorced. They were freaking drinking every weekend, just not living an aligned life. Everybody's just kind of following the typical route that society wants you to follow, to be honest. You go to school, you build your house, you have your family, you work till you're 65. Eventually, when you're old, you die. That's like what people really try to enforce on you. And where I'm from, when you try to break out of this structure, like in most places, people try to drag you down. They try to hold you down, right? Because you're just revealing their insecurities to them. But I didn't understand that at this point. It's just really typical average life, you know, waking up in the morning, taking the bus to work, spending 9 hours in an office that you hate, going back home frustrated, talking to your family out of frustration, but you're telling them they're your loved ones, but you're operating out of hate. You repeat the same thing for 5 days, call it a week, go drinking, smoking, whatever, hooking up with girls on the weekends, and you repeat, and that's life. And I was like, that's not life. Yes.
Boom. What is life?
Fitness, finances, faith, family, freedom. The 5 Fs. And becoming successful in all of these areas, in my opinion, that's life. Because, I mean, you're spending a lot of time in Bali. I spent a lot of time in Mexico. You can have, for example, the faith component, which some people also call spirituality, right? And you can be really strong on that, but you can have no money. Or you can be really financially successful, but you can have terrible health. So life to me is not, one, living the same day every day and calling it life, and 2, it's isolating yourself to just be successful in one area of life and then making that your entire identity, your entire life. That's something that's also here in Marbella, and also these places, Miami, Tulum, Monaco, Cannes. You have to be really careful about the way you filter people. You know, when I first came to these nicer places, I was like, bro, this guy has a 200K watch. He must be ultra successful. Or this guy has a Lambo. He must be ultra successful. That became all I was focusing on. But once I started getting to know more successful people and really kind of pull away the curtains, I was like, bro, I wouldn't want to trade my life with you. You know, so I feel like the 5 Fs. That's at least my definition.
Yeah, and the behind the curtains thing, we get into that later. Which one of the 5 Fs was the hardest for you to let's say, master or get really good at?
Faith, 100% faith. Believing that there's something bigger than me. Because between 15 and 20, I really tried to control everything in my life. I had to a certain degree, because I was like, my family's not doing it. My friends are not doing it. I didn't have mentors, but let's say I had a mentor, he wouldn't be doing it. So I was like, I have to focus on something. And I controlled my business, my life, my relationships, my habits so much, and I held on to that so much. And then when situations came my way where I couldn't control stuff, I was always like battling myself. Whether that was a person being removed out of my life, whether that's losing a client, whether that's taking a financial setback, whether that's freaking traveling 8,000 kilometers away to another country, with your bare minimum savings, for example, right? So I feel like faith for sure. More specifically, really surrendering and letting go. Because when you're an entrepreneur and you're in your mind so much, you're so rational, you try to calculate everything, your to-dos, your projects, your clients, whatever. But then there's also like the heart, you know? And they say the longest journey a man will ever embark on is from the mind to the heart. And that's literally what the journey is still unfolding for me as well.
You said a lot in this one. So I want to go back to the part that you said control. How did you and how do you see other entrepreneurs like trying to control everything?
Yes.
And how did it actually make you feel?
Mm-hmm. I'll give you an example. I had this imaginary number in my mind of what safety means in my bank account. So let's say it's 10K as an example. And every time I would have 10K, I would feel on top of the world. I would feel safe. I would feel like a winner. I'd feel like I'm crushing it. I feel like I'm just a G, right? When I had less than 10K, I felt like I'm nothing. And that was my life for a very long time. So whenever I spent money, you know, when I had 10,100 bucks, I easily spent $100 on a steak. But if I had 9,900, I was like, bro, I need to be frugal, right? And then eventually I was like, man, what am I doing to myself? Like, what is this? It makes no sense. Yeah. Can a number on a screen really define how I feel? So I was so holding on to money, so trying to control money. And I see that happen with a lot of entrepreneurs. I had a client, he's my age, he's a billionaire, self-made, completely coming from nothing. And I saw firsthand how money just didn't just bring him the nice things in life. It also ruined a lot of things in his life. And learning that at a young age with such massive amounts of money really taught me what I don't want. I told you this yesterday real quick. You learn things positively from people, but also you can learn negative things from people of who you're not trying to become, right? So to answer your question more specifically, I feel like entrepreneurs start their career because they don't want to work a 9 to 5. So they operate, the initiator is fear, right? The fear of staying average. But then fear cannot be the thing that keeps you going, right? It should be at some point faith and trust and joy and fulfillment, happiness. And that's where I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs just try to always get more to fill some hole, but they never fill it, you know?
Yes. And now you've found like faith, and with that, like, what do you notice? What kind of difference in letting go and surrendering? What benefits did it have on you and your business?
Yeah, I feel like faith isn't something you obtain, you strap on your belt and you just carry it with you. I think it's a daily game. I wake up with on days where I'm testing my faith a lot, and there's other days where I just have it and I'm like, nothing can harm me. But it's more of an awareness thing, if you ask me. Like back in the day when I didn't have faith in my life, I was super reactive to things. You know, let's say I lost a client. I was like, fuck, I'm making less money. I got to do this, that, outreach, got to fix my business. And now I'm like, life is happening for me. So I didn't lose a client. I just got a new slot for a better client. And it's these little things, these nuances, whether that's, again, relationships, business, family, health, where faith is really coming in handy. But it's a daily test, bro.
It's like detaching and it's awareness, because we're actually made to, we want to feel safe and want to be sure of things. And so they're very predictable for our brain. So of course we're like predicting everything, how it will go, because it gives us control, right?
Exactly.
But we don't have it because we cannot control what's not in our hands at all. Literally.
100%. I feel like as well, it's if you see it from that perspective, it's a very humbling experience. Because I used to think, here's me and I'm the center of the world. And, you know, I'm the main player in this game.
Tulum.
Exactly. And you can live life like this, but go to any beach club now where a guy is spending 20K on bottles and you see what it's doing to a person. It's not natural, right? But then when I was like, man, I'm just a vessel. I'm just moving through life. I'm just awareness, consciousness. It gave me so much peace, bro. I don't know how to describe it. It gave me such a relaxed feeling, because I was like, I'm not the one steering the ship. I'm just rowing. As long as I keep rowing and trust that the destination is going to be fine, then I can live my life in a very zen state.
This reminds me of what my ex actually told me in the car in Belgium. She said, people plan, God laughs. And a wise old man told her, and I'm like, exactly, you laugh because you make plans.
Yes.
Often they go different, but for a good thing. But if you want to stay in control, you're going to change everything, suffer, and then obviously it's not going to go your way.
Yes.
So you feel even more shit.
Yes.
But if you can let go, you can actually laugh. What people plan, God laughs is a nice one because you don't decide what's going to happen.
Bro, facts. I always think, how can you understand with your peanut brain infinite intelligence? Bro, how?
Peanut brain, that's
like, look at how much complexity is happening in the world 24/7. How can you rationally make sense of things? If you see it like that, you have to gravitate towards faith. Otherwise, you're just ignorant, in my opinion.
And ignorance is bliss. Yeah, well said. A little bridge before we go into hours about awareness and those interesting things is that how you went into engineering, you didn't like it, you went like fast tracking through this journey, and then you started. Tell me, why did you got into personal branding, marketing, and that side of business?
Yes.
To the consulting side of business.
Great question. I wanted to make money online. So like any teenager, or most teenagers, they look on YouTube, how do you make money online? And then I saw a bunch of gurus selling me stuff. E-com products or e-com courses I bought. YouTube automation courses I bought. Amazon FBA, bro, you name it. Trading, I bought probably 25K worth of courses across 5 years. And that's all my savings, by the way. As a guy in Switzerland that's doing an apprenticeship, you make like 1K a month. And I had less money, more frustration, and less of an idea what to do for business. So I was like, what the fuck are you missing, bro? Either you're just not made for this or you're just not seeing something. And I remember one specific night in my bed in Switzerland, childhood bedroom, I looked at the ceiling. I was like, how do I even know all of these people? Like, how do I know an e-com guru, a YouTube guru, a trading guru? They're all making content. They're telling you to do this, but they're making content. And that's where a light bulb moment went up, because now looking back, Andrew Tate telling you there's 17 different wealth creation methods. He's doing content. Why do we know Andrew Tate? Content. Iman Gadzhi, agency, this, that, Flowsy, SaaS businesses. Why do we know him? Content. You can give me any entrepreneur that's popular nowadays. The reason he's popular is because of content. So the question was no longer how do I make money? The question was how do I gain attention? And I was from this village where I didn't want to show myself on camera initially, because I would have just gotten beaten up and put in a trash can, to be honest. So I was like, let me start a theme page on Instagram. I posted mindset content, basically just, watching Tony Robbins, writing down quotes, putting them into Canva back then and designing something. I did that for 2.5 years and had 250,000 followers organically as a 20-year-old. And I made maybe 3K a month. And then I had another one of these moments where I was like, bro, you have 250,000 people on your phone. If you just sell them a $1 product a month, you're making $250,000 a month. You're making 3K. What are you missing? Again, there's something you're not seeing. And I looked at this page and I was like, man, this page changed my life, because through me sharing mindset advice every day, 3 to 5 times for 2.5 years, bro, mindset was the only thing in my life. Like through me teaching people, I taught myself most things about mindset back then, right? Of course, there's always more to learn. And eventually I looked at this page and I was like, man, people don't even know that this page changed my life. They don't even know that I went from this small town-ass boy that was just doing something on his phone to attracting 250,000 followers on his phone and having business opportunities, etc. So I decided to make it personal. I decided to just turn on my camera and speak into this phone and post. And the months after, everything changed in my life. I had 250,000 people on my phone, so many people messaging me every single day saying, bro, you changed my life. The mindset advice is keeping me going. I love your posts. Crazy that you're so young doing this. I would have thought you're like 50 years old, right? This wise old man sharing content. It's like, man, that's crazy. Now that people know me behind the brand, everything flows. sales flow. I made my first 10K month, then 15, then 20, and so on. And I was like, man, this is it. And from these 250K followers, I had a bunch of business owners follow me from the US. Some started reaching out, and they're basically just saying, hey, you have an audience, but I see you don't have a product. I have a product. I have a dating coaching, for example, but I don't have this audience. So can you help me build an audience? And that's how things started for me. And now looking back, man, we've probably reached half the planet. Like we've done 3-4 billion views and counting. We do 100 million views every 90 days for our clients. And we really focus on personal branding because I feel like people buy from people. It's forever going to stay like that. And now with the rise of AI, people become more important. Human connection becomes more important. And we live in a digital age where social media is not social anymore and personal branding is mostly not personal. Most people should call themselves product brands because they're just selling all the time. And that's where we have a bit of a different approach, bit of a different perspective on marketing. And that's what we do right now, mostly focused on the German-speaking countries. We have the capability to do international as well. And that's why I'm here as well with you at the end of the day, through content, through knowing each other from social media.
Exactly. The power of content brought us here. Exactly. Social media. You explained how powerful social media is and branding is. What changed in your life personally? Like, what kind of person did you have to become to work with the biggest brands in Germany? You can share more about it if you want.
Yes.
Because you generate millions of views organically. You even made them YouTube money. You told the story. It's a crazy story. I tell people a lot of this story that like, they are like, what? It made them money. Yeah. So you have you had a name for it. But what kind of person did you have to become? Because it's all about identity and your own self-image and to get where you're at and not just a few steps to do it. And you work with this part too with your clients, I believe. Yes. Like how do they? But I'm curious about what you do, of course, with them.
Yes. I'll give you a personal reply and a more business reply.
Great.
On the personal side of things, it cost me everything. Everything. I mean it fully. It almost cost me my life at 21. I almost died. It cost me my entire friend circle, or what I used to call friends, which is, associates back then, I guess. Completely letting go of my own environment. Completely. And I feel like people on social media underestimate this. We all know, you're the average of your 5 friends. But bro, let go of every single one of your friends where you know subconsciously already that they're just not meant for your entire life. I still have 2-3 people I'm vibing with still to this day, but the majority has fallen away. Family, big one. Bro, like I get more compliments from strangers on my social media than my own family. And I'm not talking my parents, I'm talking about the circle around my parents. And this is still crazy for me to think about, honestly, because if you look at it from a bird's eye view, I'm this young guy who faced adversity, who wanted to change something, who is facing all of these freaking roadblocks. And now he is clearly living a more extraordinary life, I guess. And there's just no nice words, no positivity, right? So on that side, it cost me everything, bro. It still costs me my old identity over and over again to move throughout life. And that's what I feel like people don't understand when they get into it initially. Everything comes at a price. Being a millionaire, being extraordinarily successful is going to cost you a lot. Not money, not just money, but energy, time, relationships, people, sacrifices, etc., etc. On the business side of things, I really had to look at what most people are doing and that most people are not successful. So if I do the same thing like most people, I'm probably not going to be successful, right? So everybody back then was going into ads, performance agencies, lead gen, etc. And I was just doing my own thing. And don't get me wrong, I had many moments where I was like, bro, what are you doing? Like, does organic personal branding actually work? Right? These moments of doubts, we all face them. So I just stayed in my own lane. And then how I got to these very big clients or started getting these really big projects are a couple of things. One, my personal brand, 200%. I have this Instagram account now for 7-8 years. This is the most valuable asset I possess to this day. Why? Because not only is it a collection of my entire life, but it's a collection of all of my client success, all of the testimonials, all of the assets that can generate proof even while I sleep. I probably have 2,500 posts up on my Instagram, stories and posts and reels and whatever. And it's just like this library of content that somebody can consume 24/7, even when I'm not present. Which, if Elon Musk sees my content now, he's gonna get nurtured, right? Technically speaking. So building that asset was ultra important for me. And then a little story I want to tell for 2-3 minutes, because this is literally how one client changed my entire life. And this is going to be a massive lesson for people watching. There was a point when I lost a client that was making me like maybe 5K a month, which back then was literally like 80% of the money I was making. Right? And don't get me wrong, for all the people watching and seeing this house in Marbella, 5K is a lot of money. I know we live in a space where every 14-year-old has a Bugatti on social media. 5K is a lot of money, right? So, just lost the point. Remind me of where
the client with the big lesson.
Thank you. 5K, I lost a client. I was in Mexico. I was like, damn, what am I going to do? A friend calls me and she's like, hey, there's this big podcast in Germany. They're looking for a social media expert. They do a competition. Whoever gets the most views in 30 days is going to get a partnership with them. And I was like, I know I'm going to win if I participate. So I think I had like 5 or 6 grand on my bank account. And I spent 1.5K of that money on the bank account on an editor who with my strategy can make videos for that company or for that podcast duo. And in a month, we've done 25,000, we generate 25K followers on Instagram. Almost 1,000 a day initially, new brand. And I was just refreshing at the end of the month my YouTube feed constantly for them to announce who won. And the video pops up. I scroll through to the end and they're like, we decided we're not going to just get one winner, select one winner. We're going to have a prize pool of 2,000 euros a month. Whoever gets more than 1 million views is going to win a percentage of that. So I was like, if 10 people get 1 million views, I make $200. I spent 1,500 on an editor. Like that's no way to do business. And I was frustrated, brother, frustrated. And instead of accepting my fate, so-called, I wrote a huge YouTube comment from my soul, bro, from my heart, telling them that they're basically leaving their brand now for TikTok children that can use CapCut to make videos affecting their narrative, their perception online, their brand image, etc., etc. And they actually replied. And then I got the chance to hop on a meeting with Philip is his name. He's the most famous business owner in all of Germany. He's like the German Andrew Tate, if you want to call him that. And we had a meeting. And I was just like, hey, Philip, look, I'm not the guy to accept no's. I've already accepted or had so many no's in my life. Like, this is something I'm going to do with you guys. If you guys trust me, it will be a massive success. And the rest was history. For that brand, we've generated 250 million views, 50,000 active paying clients a month. They do like 3-4 million a month right now. And we took them from not zero, but they weren't at 3-4 million a month.
Impressive story.
Thank you, bro.
There's a lot of lessons.
Never take no for an answer. Bro.
Exactly.
Sometimes you gotta go head to the wall.
Yeah. Yes. Then you show them that you combined your skill with your deep belief that you were the person to do it.
Yes.
And you had zero fear that it wouldn't work.
Yes.
Right?
100%. Yeah. And look, for me, and this is the case for most of my friends and family members that know my clients. Because they're in television, they're on YouTube, on their feed in Germany, you see them constantly. And a lot of people tend to see these clients of mine now as celebrities, which means you are here subconsciously and your clients or these people are here. So you're putting somebody on a pedestal. And if you have somebody on a pedestal in your mind, there is no way you can engage with them on an eye level, which actually repels them, right? Energetically, it's too much of a big disconnect. That's why celebrities on the street don't want to chill with fans that take photos. It's too much of a disconnect. And what really helped me, which I guess is something I've just been doing naturally on a subconscious level, what really helped me was taking them off the pedestal and not seeing Philip, the guy with 500,000 followers, but just seeing Philip, the freaking father of a family, just a normal human. And I treat my clients like that. Of course, I have massive respect for them, but I'm not hesitant to speak my truth just because they are person X, Y, Z. If I tell Philip, hey, this sucks, then I tell him this sucks.
Yeah.
And they have very, very few people like that in their life.
They appreciate it.
Exactly, which is why then you stand out, right?
Exactly. You talk about subconscious. Let's talk about like what has working with the subconscious mind done for you.
Wow, what has it done for me? When I started, bro, I thought this is a purely material game. Like if I have a car, a house, a watch, I'm successful. The more I continue to walk this path, I know it's purely a spiritual game. And spirituality to a degree means knowing yourself. And knowing yourself eventually gets you onto the route where like, you're not what you're thinking, you're not your emotions. So what are you? Who are you? Right? And eventually you know you are awareness, you are consciousness. But then are you conscious of everything in your life? No. Are you conscious of the reason you still hang out with toxic friends? No. If you would be conscious, you would not be doing it. Do you know why you're not on level X, Y, Z consciously? No. So there is something else, right? There's this untapped thing called the subconscious. And what I always found interesting was when I felt fear, for example. Yes, you can think about fear, but do you ever feel fear in your head? No. It's here, right? And here we have nothing. Like if I get opened up here now, I have what? Like lungs and a heart and some whatever. But the emotion still feels so strong here. So it's sub the conscious mind, below the conscious mind. And just having the awareness that this exists, in my opinion, already puts you in the 1% of humanity. Because most people are just walking zombies, right? Then once you know the subconscious exists, the question becomes, how do you work on it, right? And that's where meditation came into my life. That's where breath work came into my life. That's where you came into my life with hypnosis. And every time I work on it, even though I can't pinpoint how I'm working on it, I feel a gradual change over the next few weeks, months, years, etc.
Boom. What I like about you is you say something and you stop. And you're like, what else is coming? And you
Bro, it changed my life.
You know this fact. Yeah, like we started work together like 2.5 months ago.
I think so, yes.
What was the reason you initially decided this? Because you're on a good level, had success, made money. Like most people would be like, oh, that's where I want to be. And still you were open to become better. But why did you decide this and what has it done?
Yeah.
What did you notice?
Because I see myself start out again fresh every day. I don't look at the past and I'm like, bro, I've been crushing it for 5 years. So I know everything. I don't need to work further on myself. The past does not exist. The future does not exist. Only this now. So if I decide now I want to learn more without knowing anything from the past or anything about the future, that's my only choice I can logically make if I'm detached from my ego, right? Which is another huge conversation we could have. But I just see myself as a student, brother, honestly. I know that I know nothing. And at the end of my life, the answer can be the same. I just have experiences and I can work with things. I get people sent my way. I get opportunities to invest, to learn from mentors. And I feel like, again, every person, back to the same thing from yesterday, can either teach you something you want to embody or who you want to become, or the other side, right? So there is a lesson in every person. The decision that I made to work with you or to continue working on my subconscious is just, that's what got me here. So if I stop doing that, digging deeper, I'm just stagnating, right? So I love to just learn new things. I love to put my ego aside, right? The old me would have said, hypnosis, what? Bro, if I would have told my 16, 17, 18-year-old friends back then, I'm doing hypnosis, bro, I don't want to even go on that route, you know? So yeah, it's a beautiful experience. And I think every person that's listening to us, every person that wants to grow in life, there's going to be people that cross your path with offers or skills that might be completely out of your box or your universe. And if you just have the trust and if you're just open to lean into them, magical things can happen. Just like this podcast now, we're sitting in a nice house and we're talking value.
It brought us together.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing this. I haven't asked you in the months, how did you experience it? And how do you experience it, hypnosis? People are wondering, like, how do you experience it? And Liam has an explanation. And Carl, what is your explanation of this?
It's a very good question. I feel like with these experiences you have in hypnosis, because it's subconscious, you cannot always pinpoint it. Like I cannot say, I lay there and then I see you shine and then I'm like, I know I'm going to get rich or richer, right? It's not that. It's mostly an integration feeling. It's mostly something you experience over weeks and months where the trajectory of your life just changes. What I can just say in the moment though, for those who are curious, we have our calls, right? And you get me into this state, bro, where honestly speaking, I'm so relaxed. And I'm so zen. And I have my manifestation playlist on Spotify as well, where a guy's narrating and telling me, affirmations and things like this, but it's completely different. Like meditations, I have to really focus to go deep, which then kind of makes it different to meditate because you shouldn't focus, right? Breath work helps me a bit more because I feel like when I move my body and when I'm like have a lot of oxygen, I can focus more easily. But then hypnosis is just different, bro. I have moments or sessions with you where I open my eyes and I'm like, bro, I felt like I was asleep for 10 hours, so deep, you know? And that in my day with so much stress all the time and so many variables in my head all the time is so rare and such a blessing.
I've never heard this explanation. 10 hours of sleep. Did you know, by the way, that 30 minutes of hypnosis is the same, equals like 4 to 5 hours of sleep? That's why you feel so refreshed.
See, there we go.
So like an hour would be literally like, so you feel very awake. And what last one about this is like, what benefits do you, because entrepreneurs at the end are very grounded. You are, and you know, I told you once, minimal once, that it's special that you're so connected to everything that we don't see, the invisible, but also very grounded to what reality is and doing business, you know? And so at the end, results are the name of the game in business. And so what did you notice in like reality, like very concrete in after sessions, after hypnosis? How did it benefit you in that way?
Yeah. I get pitched deals that weren't in my mind before. I am more in flow on sales calls. I make more money, just to put it very simple. I just have, there you go. I just have more opportunities. And I feel like people look at business and they're like, how can I grow my business? Your business will never outgrow you. Your level of personal development. So when I invest in growth in myself, my business grows. It can happen that it doesn't show for a month or a year, but it's gonna grow because it's just the reflection of me, right? If you have 100 employees, eventually it changes. But especially when you're on the rise, everything is just a reflection of you. And yeah, that's what I would say. More peace, more alignment, more money, more opportunities, to put it simple. And it gave me also the awareness, which in my opinion, is really important when people hear hypnosis. People are like, hypnosis, okay, I've never done it, can work, I don't know. Bro, you're hypnotizing yourself 24/7. We get hypnotized 24/7. Now you're listening to our podcast, you're being hypnotized. When you're scrolling, you're being hypnotized. Your way or our way of hypnosis, the way we work together, is just using hypnosis on the right thing. You know, on peace and being zen and not being distracted all the freaking time with social media and all of this stuff. So to people that are maybe even a bit skeptical about hypnosis, understand that you are getting hypnotized, especially in today's day and age, 24/7 from 100 different sides. And if you can step out of that with somebody like you, it's probably one of the best decisions you can make for your mind. Agree?
I wanted to take a moment to let that sink in.
Amazing.
And I've learned that if somebody speaks very convincing, and then you shouldn't add any words to it. So I'm not going to add any words because it's very subjective, but I do have to say that you've experienced it and I see it coming back in your business. He is always very active and productive. Like, this guy's on the move. So often when I look at his stories, I see him in another country, and then it's Vienna, and then he's in Switzerland, and then he's in Marbella, then he has to speak there. So I check with him in, like, how are you doing, bro? He's like, bro, I'm going to text you later. I'm flying now. Flying now.
Right, to reschedule.
So you make sure you can perform at your best, but like money, which you make more, that's not the most important thing. It's even Carl and Liam talk about how you have to detach from it, and then you make more, but most people don't know how to do it. Yes. And you focus on so many things that are really valuable. Relationship with your parents is great. Your health, you're working on. So I would love, and I know we can speak. We're going to do the episode 2 either in Bali or I'm coming back, because this is
I'll come to Bali.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I'll invite you at my home base for now. Mm-hmm. For now, I want to end something. It doesn't feel like an end. It's like, saying goodbye to somebody, we like need to talk. Again. Yeah, we need to talk again. Where do you see yourself like going from here? But most important, what is something you believe, which you believe is you believe deep down, and most people maybe doubt or don't want to believe, but you want to leave that to the people that are listening, that are open to and willing to listen to it. And that could change their life and business.
No, amazing. Good question. 2 questions, right? Where I'm trying to go. I don't see myself as a marketer. I see myself as somebody that's helping people share their message with the world. So that's another whole conversation. I'm making short. Through me sharing my health trauma when I was 21, I not only solved my trauma, but I impacted many people's lives. And I had many clients come from that, much financial success come from that, but more importantly, a lot of fulfillment come from that. I want to place my company, our company, in a way where people have no friction in putting their story out there for the world to see. Whether that's you being a coach, whether it's you selling products, whether it's you being a speaker, whatever. We all have a story. The more we share, the more we impact. And that's really what the mission is: impact, purpose, purpose-driven brands. That's what we want to grow in the future. Monetarily and things like this, I don't have numbers in mind. I'm fully detached from my future because I know the future is just a combination of now. If I would have something to share for people, this is a deep one and it's still taking me time to fully understand. All answers are within. All answers are within. I see success as a natural state of a human being. The problem is, I'll give you an example. If I'm a kid, 2 years old, and this is a restaurant, and I stand on this table, and I'm wearing a cape, I feel like a superhero. I feel successful. I'm detached from opinions. I'm detached from money. I'm detached from anything. I'm just at peak state, right? And then throughout life, through parents, people, places, job, etc., this natural state of success gets a lot of rubbish put on top, a lot of traumas, etc. And then we try to, with this pile of rubbish, add things in our life that can potentially make us more successful. So people operate from this pile of rubbish and they say, hey, if I do X, Y, Z, I'll make money. Yeah, but then you're just a pile of rubbish with money, right? It makes no sense. So success is about removal. Success is not an addition process. It's taking things away that take you away from success, right? And once you start removing the layers, peeling the onion, if you want to say it like that, you understand that truly all answers are within. You don't need to ask external sources to get confirmation. If I have an idea in my business, for example, and I have peeled away the onion, I'm self-confident, I'm authentic, I love my life, I love myself, I will just go with that idea and I'll turn it into a success. But what most people do is they have an idea, right? They don't have the confidence, self-love, all of this rubbish still piled on them. And then they try to validate what they have in them externally. It's twisted, right? Mm-hmm. So removing bullshit from your life to make it really, make a statement here to wrap it up from my side. remove the BS, spot the BS in your life first, remove the BS, and then start to trust your intuition, because God or the universe or whatever you want to call it is speaking through you, through your heart, your intuition, directly to your mind. Once you're aligned with that, you'll be so successful. It will be insane. And I'm still learning, bro. That's what I would say.
Drops the mic. Beautifully spoken, and I also believe that's a beautiful end. This needs to sink in also. It's not light work what we're doing here, but I didn't expect that either. So if you're ready for it, take it all in. If not, take it all in. You'll get some lessons from it. But I would say thank you for listening, for watching this. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Great. Also, your brother is here. You're building with a great
always
cameraman, a creator, and I call it creator, just like you're not just a marketer. And everybody who's here, we're gonna wrap this up. This is the end for now. Yeah, I just want to say thank you. It was great. It was very fast, but great. And I look forward to the other episode, because what happened to you at 21 years old is something to go deeper into, but that's for the other one. Thanks for listening, and see you at the next one. Ciao.
See you in Bali.
Well, nice. Thank you.
Nice.
Wow, well done.
Amazing, bro.
Damn, thanks.